As of right now, we have borrowed $4 million, and in a few ways, it kind of feels like I haven't done all that much with it. I mean, obviously, we have wagons coming up to the Oma construction materials plant and creating bricks. And then those bricks are being brought to Belfast and Londonderry, which is getting us a little bit of money, but it doesn't feel like it's getting us all that much. And that's all without mentioning the fact that we do have wagons coming over to a food processing plant near Limerick, where we are turning grain into food and then taking that all the way up to Castle Bar. Now, don't get me wrong, we are making money. These lines are making money, but they could be better. They could be more efficient. And that's sort of had me thinking about some changes that I would like to make. As it stands right now, our bricks production lines are completely circular in a way. We have the same wagons picking up stone, turning them into bricks and taking those bricks to Belfast. And we have a set of wagons picking up stone, turning them into bricks and taking them to Londonderry. Now that's okay, and those lines are making money, but I don't know how expandable that's necessarily going to be, because today I would really like to try my best to play with trains, because right up here on the north coast, we have Londonderry Forest. Now, Londonderry Forest is positioned at a location that I am familiar with, because I'm pretty sure this is deliberate, because this is the real life site of the Mount Sandal Forest, which I believe is the location of a Neolithic fort, and a historic, now not there, Neolithic fort that was the first site for settlers on the entire island. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember my geography and my history correctly, that is what Londonderry Forest happens to be. Now, obviously, that's interesting, but not so much for Transport Fever 2. What is interesting about this is that we can come south to the Belfast sawmill. We can turn these logs, in fact, we can turn 2 logs into a single plank. And then if we go further south again, back down towards Limerick, we have the Limerick Tools Factory. Now, this is the only place on the island that can create tools, but that's okay. We could run a train down here. We could bring some planks down here and create tools, which we can deliver to Limerick. We can also load some of those tools on that same train and bring them back to Belfast, because Belfast wants tools as well. But that's not all. There's a third thing we can do, and this is why I'm tempted to change these wagons. We could bring bricks from the Oma construction materials plant, the only place in the island that we can make bricks, bring them over. We can drop them off at a train station next to this sawmill. We can put them on the train, and we can also bring those down to Limerick, because Limerick wants bricks as well. Galway wants bricks as well. So we have some options for what we can do here. We obviously could take another $6 million in loans, but I want to make some changes first, just to see how my finances are looking, and then I'm gonna decide what we're doing with that $6 million. So here's what I am thinking. I think what we do is we go into these stone brick city lines, and I think we take out the stone delivery part of both of them, and I think we create another line separate from these guys that is going to bring enough stone to this construction materials plant for both of those lines. So at the Dundalk Annex, we get rid of that stop completely. We do the same thing in here. And now both of these lines are set up to do nothing but load up on bricks and take those bricks to the end destination. Now that obviously cuts out this entire journey down here. So we will need to create a new line, which is again going from Dundalk Annex up to here. I think what we'll call this is an Oma line, because it's closest, I think, well, it's not closest to Oma, but it's going around it. So this will be Oma, and it's stone to bricks. Very, very simply. This line can be blue, and that's also nice and simple. And what I would like to do is come up here and configure this with another cargo platform so that we have a single platform per line. What we can do is say that platform 3 is going to be for the stone to bricks line. So that's a delivery line. Platforms 2 and 1 are going to be for picking up materials to take them out. So that should give us a little bit more control with those lines, and that should improve the rates of both of these lines The Belfast bricks to city line is 24. The Londonderry bricks to city line is now 34, which isn't bad, but obviously we need some more vehicles. So let's have a look at those numbers again. So if the rate here is 24, the rate here is 34, that gives us 58. So we would need enough vehicles going from down here to up here to basically have a rate of 60, so that we are making enough bricks per year to maintain deliveries to Londonderry and to Belfast. So we are going to borrow $500,000. We're going to be very careful with what we borrow. And I want to go in here. I'm going to buy 10 of these guys for now. We're going to paint them that lovely blue color and put them, in fact, it shouldn't be blue. It should be a different color is what it should be. It should absolutely be a different color. It should be that pink color, but that's totally okay. We can absolutely fix that to that beautiful pink color. And now what I would like to see is what the rate of that line happens to be. So it's 18 right now. Now that's a little worrying because that means we need to double this to get us up to 37. And we nearly need to double it again to get us up towards 60. So that's not ideal, but we will be able to manage. We now have 46. I'm going to take another loan, which is probably a little bit silly, but that's all right. We're going to just get another 5 vehicles in here to give us 55. And you know what? Give me another 5 vehicles, 35 vehicles in total for a rate of 64. So now this guy should be producing, which it absolutely is. We will have 35 wagons coming out of here in that beautiful hot pink color. And what we should see is that this place will still be getting a pretty good supply from the Dundalk Quarry, and we should have 100% shipment to both Belfast and Londonderry. It's just going to take a minute for all of this to sort of kick into effect, but I'm hopeful that this will work. And the reason for this change in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, is that this one line can be expanded and upgraded to make sure that more stone is going to this construction materials plant. And then when it comes time to ship bricks from Belfast Sawmill down to Limerick, we can just add another line, or we can piggyback off of the Belfast delivery line. The only thing we need to do there is make sure that the rate of the Belfast delivery line is enough to sustain both Belfast and Limerick, because we'd be splitting the deliveries between 2 locations. Alternatively, we just do a new dedicated line that goes from the materials plant to the train station. Whether or not we do that, I don't know. It's early days. We're just gonna see what happens with this whole mess that I've created. And you know, while that's going on, I want to come down here towards Galway and Castlebar, and I would like to maybe consider expanding some of these lines. Now, we are producing an absolute ton of food in here, and it's not all getting moved. So if we go to the Castlebar line, I'm thinking I'm going to try and put another 5 vehicles on there just to move more stuff, because that line has been relatively consistently profitable, which is what we're looking for. So that should be another little bit of easy money for us, which is fantastic news. And in other fantastic news, we have these guys finally arriving up here, loading up on stone and heading out. So if this works, and if this goes the way I want it to, I'm hoping that these 35 vehicles will be spread out enough that we're kind of constantly, you know, at one end of the line, we're delivering, at the other end, we're picking up, and it just sort of cycles really, really nicely. I don't love that they have to cover so much terrain, but it's 1856, man. We just gotta wait, unfortunately. It's just gonna take time. Now, I do think it's important to remember that we are expecting to see this down here in the bottom left. I'm expecting to see our budget and our balance in the negative. That was completely expected with this change. The good news is we have finally got these wagons arriving here, and for every delivery, we're getting $12,662. Now, something I have done to try and speed this up a little bit is I've actually gone ahead and allowed this line, the Oma stone to bricks line, is allowed to both pick up from either platform at the Dundalk Annex, but also drop off at any platform here at the Oma Annex. So if we happen to have a terminal like this that's busy, this guy is now going to loop around and go to the next available terminal, which is this one. So they're going to be dropping off relatively consistently, and that should work out nicely for us. We should see some profits start to come in. And as you can see, there are a bunch of vehicles that are now well on their way back. That hasn't quite spread things out as much as I was hoping to, but that should be okay. And we should start to see a good amount of money come in from that line. Whether or not it stays in the positive, honestly, I don't know. I'm not too sure what way that's going to work. I'm hoping it's going to stay in the positive. At the very least, we are seeing the Castle Bar grain to food to city line. It's doing really well for itself, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Hopefully it continues to do very well for itself. Now, another cool detail about what's going on here is that because we're bringing more stone up this way and we're bringing it quite consistently, we are potentially going to see the OMA construction materials plant actually upgrade. We can see the production here is climbing to 75. If the shipment also continues to climb and gets to 75 or higher, this guy should, and it is, starting the process of leveling up, which means its production will go from a maximum of 100, I think, to 200, which has the knock-on effect of saying, hey, this guy can now ship more than 100 because its consumer is able to handle more than 100 units. Not that we need to be shipping that much down here, but it is an option, and I've got to say, this is absolutely working. We're up to $322,000. The most profitable line we have is the stone to brick line, and I think that was probably the last wagon on that line, just dropping off right there. Do we have any that are on the way right now? We do. It is going to be this guy is the first that's going to be on his way again. So that line is definitely working. It's definitely doing what I want it to do. We have a lot of bricks waiting to go to Belfast, which will get us even more money. We don't have that many for Londonderry, but that's honestly okay. And this guy is completely maxed out, which is what I love to see. So this plan is working. And this plan, if I can continue to sort of keep it working, is basically going to subsidize my railroads. And that's sort of what I need. I need something here. There we go. We got our upgrade, which is beautiful. I need something here that makes a ton of money so that when the railroad gets running, it's going to lose money. It's not going to make a ton right off the bat. Oh, there we go. This guy's shipping up to 200 now. The railroads will lose money. Basically, that's the be all end all, is they will lose money. So if I can have something that's making money, that's going to help me in the long run. Now, let me have a look at you and see what you're doing right now. Your consumers, Belfast shipping 60, Londonderry 47. Are we transporting all of that? I want to say we have a rate of 26 on the Belfast line right now. I don't know how much of that we're reasonably shipping. We do have 20 vehicles in that line, but I think something that might help us, especially as the Belfast wagons start to arrive again, is a bypass for Londonderry. I've noticed if we turn on the contour lines, we could sort of slip down into this little valley right here and avoid these big old steep hills. So I think I'd like to do that, is what I'd like to do. So I'm going to take back this entire section of road, and I am going to bring a little section of road straight through here. I will reconnect this road because I think it's probably for the best that we do sort of maintain that bit of road. But I'm just going to do a little something like this. It's a little steeper than I would like, but we're not really going to be using it too much because what I'm hoping to do is use this bit of road. I'm hoping I can bring this guy out. It's not the cheapest. It's definitely not the cheapest. We'll go down a step right there. Oh, maybe I just want to cut down like right into the valley and just follow that hill. I don't know that I do. Although it does need to go down. Yeah, it does kind of need to go down like that, doesn't it? Okay, we're going to bring this back a little bit and we're going to just sort of bite the bullet and sort of go down into the valley like this. It is going to be a little bit steep, but I think it's going to be a bit more gradual than what they're dealing with going through Londonderry right now. So we'll bring this around and it just needs to connect over there. Now that is going to be super steep. So we're looking to connect up that way. So maybe bring this back a little, maybe follow this contour line. And then we can sort of loop around and connect over there somewhere. I think that's going to be the right idea. So a nice straight section right there. A nice curve sort of heading this way. We'll go a bit of a 45-degree angle. And then just straight over. It is very steep. It is very steep. Maybe just that. Maybe that's what we do. Now, is that better? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's going to be so much better for them. What we can also do is go around Loch Ness. That's what this body of water happens to be called. So I think we build, and this will be good for future proofing as well, because this is obviously where I'd like to, at some point, build a train station. So we'll have this road go out. We will have this road sort of come up here and around like this. And again, I kind of need my contour lines. I kind of need to see what I'm doing. We want to go around this hill is what I'd like to do. So we'll go for a nice little straight section here and then start veering off to the right ever so slightly just to avoid some of the steeper contour lines. And we'll start bringing it in here. We're getting a little bit low on money. I don't actually think I can afford this. It is going to be a little bit steep at the end, which I don't love, but that should be okay. We'll take out that bit of road. We can hopefully just run this guy straight up that hill. And my hope when we get $9,000, which we don't have right now, really? There we go. My hope is that that is going to be a quicker route for those guys. It absolutely is. That is a much, much better route to go from the Omagh Annex down to Belfast. The rate is still 26, which is a little bit embarrassing, but you know what? It's not the end of the world. It is a more efficient line, and that's what we're looking for. Now, taking another look at our line statistics, it turns out the Omagh stone to brick line, it is... I don't want to say it's breaking even necessarily, but when it's not delivering anything, it goes back down to negative 110,000, which is a bit of a problem. Now that it's dropping off again, we are seeing some money come in. I just don't know that that line is necessarily as efficient as it could be. I don't know that throwing more vehicles at it is necessarily the solution either. Throwing bigger vehicles at it would be nice, but we don't have that option right now. So I'm wondering whether or not I start taking a massive loans so that I can start building my trains, or if there's something I could do down here to improve things a little bit. So looking at this place, we have got some food ready to go to the city, which is fine. If I remember right, we wanted to balance the rates of these lines though. So this guy has a rate of 38 right now, which means 38 grain is coming down here and being turned into food. Obviously it's a 2-to-1. This guy, if I remember right, also needed to be, well, it's 39, so it's doing fine. The question I have then is, should I expand this line? Should we start producing just a bunch more food here? I could duplicate these guys. It brings me down to, 30-odd thousand, but it now has a rate of 79. We'll round that up to 80. That gives us 40 food production. If we look at Castle Bar, it's getting plenty of food in here, which is great. So hopefully we're going to see some good things come out of this. I'm hoping that eventually we can start bringing some of this food over to Kilkenny. I just don't know what way I would want to do that, because we could keep this dedicated line and then run a secondary line to Kilkenny, but I just don't know. The alternative would be that we split this line into something similar to what's going on with Castle Bar, where they're bringing food from the Limerick branch to Limerick North, then over to Kilkenny. They run empty back to here and start it all over again. And then we bring in a third grain farm, probably this one, to subsidize all of that. Again, I don't know how necessary it is. I will say it is nice seeing 254,000 right here. That's very, very satisfying. It's also cool seeing that the Belfast line is starting to make some money. The Londonderry Bricks line, surprisingly, not making all that much money, although we do now have a ton of bricks in here waiting to go over, so hopefully that'll be the case. And this thing's looking like it might level up again in the not too distant future, which would be amazing news. All right, so I want to take another look at the Omagh stone to bricks line, because it's now in what we'll call the off season. It's not making any deliveries. If we have a look at the line, it's still got a positive balance, but I'm wondering, is it going to maintain that positive balance before, by the time this guy delivers? Is it going to dip into the negative before this guy happens to get here? It's going down to 40,000. I want to say it might. We are still at $250,000 in the account, which is great. But what this is making me think is, should I just put more vehicles on this line so it's delivering more regularly? That will potentially push the level of this guy up, which would be great. And that would mean that there's just more bricks in general to go to both Belfast and Londonderry, and of course to be loaded onto a train eventually to go to Limerick, and I think Dublin wants them as well. There's a few places that want bricks around here. So I think, I mean, this guy just delivered there. Yeah, it did dip down into the negative. Not by much this time. Although it's still going. So I might be a little bit premature on assuming that it's not going to stay in the negative. I think the best thing I could do if I was to buy more vehicles would be to buy them now, because we have a bunch of these guys still back here on their way. So I'm hoping it'll sort of balance things out. If I duplicate those 5, can I afford to do it again? I can't. Okay. I'm going to say 40 vehicles should be enough. That's a rate of 86. It's going to be sending them out of here as well, which is fine. I really do think I might want to start putting road depots a little bit closer to where I need them from time to time, because that journey down there is such a waste of money. But at the very least, we should see a good amount of money coming in here, because we do have a lot of these pink wagons on their way here to drop off some stones. So we should be all right. We're not going to go into the negative. I still don't think we have enough money to go crazy with trains yet. I mean, we are going to be taking a loan to make that happen anyway, but I want a little bit more steady income just before that happens. Now, in other news, we actually happen to have a bit of an overload of Belfast bricks, which tells me that we need more vehicles on this line. We already have 20. Let's see if I can bring that up to 30. That gives us a rate of 35. So 10 new vehicles heading from here to Belfast with bricks. I mean, it's going to be more money, which is good, because that line is sort of losing money every time it heads out. I think realistically what I'm doing is just trying to brute force a profit out of these lines, to the point where just the number of vehicles I have making deliveries is going to outweigh the cost of those vehicles. That's sort of just generally how I play this game. I won't say, I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be done. There's probably a more optimal way to do it than what I'm doing, but this works for me. And I do kind of like just zooming out and seeing all the little vehicles going around. It's very cool. So this works for me. We're also probably going to run into that same problem with the Londonderry line at some point, but I'm a little bit less concerned about that right now. We don't have an overload there, although it will probably happen. Are you guys seriously heading to Belfast first? Oh, you're going that way. Okay. I was worried they were going to go to Belfast first, but no, that's not what they're doing. They are taking forever to get up that hill though. All right, so now we're sitting with about $450,000. The Oma Stone to Bricks line is doing pretty well for itself. The Castle Bar Grain to Food to City line is also doing quite well, but I think this is sort of where I want my last little wagon investment to go before we look at getting some trains. So a rate of 51 here is pretty solid. I want to put 25 vehicles in this though. A rate of 64 gives us 32 bread production from that line alone. And if we come over here, this line is at 79 already. So we don't actually need to do anything there. We just have an improvement on that line with the amount of food that's going to be moving on that line. And hopefully that's going to be all right. Hopefully that's going to be, it's going to be good for Castle Bar. They're going to continue to want all that food, because if they don't, that's going to be a bit of a problem. And you know what? I think Castle Bar is maybe the first place that we should build ourselves a little public transport line. So let's just build a little curve here. Let me just, oh, how do I want this to loop around is gonna be the question. I don't really have any need for a vehicle to go out there. I suppose we can bulldoze you and just connect these guys together. That doesn't seem like the end of the world. Seems a little bit steep, but I'm sure we'll manage is what we'll do. And I guess we'll go in here with a bus and tram stop. I want to put it, do I want to put it down here? I sort of do. I'm kind of thinking here though. I'm kind of thinking I don't want to replace an existing stop actually. I'm thinking here, so it can kind of loop around. It can go up to about there. We can have it stop down there as well. And I'll put another one in the middle. That seems excessive. I don't think this game actually needs that many bus stops that close together, but it's what I'm going to do because we care about public transport, I guess. That's what we're going to go for. So road passengers, it is Castle Bar. It is loop number 1, and it is going to be that beautiful blue color right there. let's head down here and get ourselves some stagecoaches. They look like they're going to be fun. We'll go for 3. Let's go for 4. No, that was 2. All right, we'll go for 2 to start with. That's fine. I might have misclicked. So road passengers, we'll do these guys on the castle bar, and they look amazing. They would look better in red, I'll be honest. They really would look so much better in red, but they look amazing regardless. And would you look at that? We have someone waiting. We have you, Abigail Kelly. That's the first person we have waiting. We have another one waiting over here, which we love to see. Oh, look at the top hat on Daniel Kelly. I'm sure a relative. It's Limerick. They're all... That's not Limerick. It's Castle Bar. I've never been to Castle... What? That was quite a jump to just like... I don't know if I've ever been to Limerick, and for some reason I just had like the deep Irish urge to throw shade at another town on the island that I've never been to. I have no idea where that came from. And to be fair, what I meant by that, just to be clear, everyone... It's like everyone's like, oh, that person, yeah, I know them. That's my uncle's brother's cousin. Like, that's the thing. It's like, oh, John, whatever, John Kelly. Yeah, that's my nephew's niece's brother's cousin. Like, it's always that. They're always like somehow, you know, oh, yeah, I know him. Good friend of my dad. Like, it's, that's what I meant by that. It sounded a lot worse than I wanted it to. And sounded like I was just throwing shade at Limerick when I was looking at Castle Bar. So it's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway, looking at our lines again, the Belfast Bricks to City line is making a ton of money now, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. The Stoned Bricks line is creeping up a little bit as well, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. We have over $500,000 now, which is also a beautiful, beautiful thing. So I'm wondering if now is the time that we maybe start looking at getting some trains. Now, Londonderry is getting bricks. It's just not making a lot of money in the process, I guess, because it's a relatively short line. I do wonder if we look at the consumers for this line, Belfast is getting about everything it needs. Londonderry is getting everything it needs. We're transporting 46% of what Dundalk Quarry is producing. So we could move more, which might honestly be the signal that we need to start putting some trains in here. I do think that's going to be the case. I really do. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to be able to make a ton of money out of this, but I think that's what we need to do. So let me go in here and let me take some loans. I'm going to borrow another up to 7.5 million. It gives me just over $3 million to play with, and that should be about enough for what I'd like to do. And we're going to start at the top and work our way down with this production chain. So let's get to it. So right away, we need a truck stop right up here by Londonderry Forest. I want it to be as far away from it as I can possibly get while still being connected, which is going to be about there, which is totally fine. This guy is then going to come down to the Belfast sawmill. And for this place, because what we're going to be doing is dropping off, what are we doing with this? We're dropping off logs. We are dropping off bricks, and we're picking up tools to take to Belfast. We're going to need 3 platforms. So let's have 2 on the left, 1 on the right. That way the 2 on the left are going to be drop-off points. The 1 on the right is picking stuff up to go into Belfast. And so this guy is going to live right about here. And that should be totally fine. What we can do from this point is go ahead and say, let's create a new line from here to there. And that is going to be road cargo. It is going to be Belfast, despite sort of starting in Londonderry. And it is going to be logs to planks. And that'll be totally fine. We'll get it painted in red. And before we continue, I want to make this a little bit more efficient because we have some very, very steep hills in here. And I think we could do better than what we're looking at with these hills because there's sort of a little valley comes through here that I think we could play with. In fact, I think geographically speaking, I can't remember if it's actually called like the Ban Valley, but I think this valley would exist in real life because, at least in part, of the River Ban that should, by all accounts, be flowing up here to the north coast. It's the scale doesn't quite work in Transport Fever, but there is a river that flows there. Now, what I think we'll do is turn on contours. We will take this guy out of here, and very, very simply, I want to bring this down here, and I want to just use this little valley to try my best to make these guys a little bit more efficient, a little bit faster, and just a bit easier going for the horses and carts. So we'll bring this down to here. I would like to sort of level this out a little bit as well. So let me bring this back, which annoyingly I can't do. So let me bring this up to here, and I'm going to hold shift and drag this down so it's about as level as I can get it, which that looks to be. It's a little more expensive than it should be, but that's going to let me bring this straight out of there, which I do not need it doing that. Let me just bring you back up to about level there. It's still carving away at the terrain, but honestly, that's okay. This can come in, and then we'll just curve these guys together like this. And that is going to be much, much faster for the logs to come down from here than having to go up and over that hill, which is sort of the goal. Now, for the rest of this, we sort of need to find a way to connect this all together in a way that's not going to be terrible. So that seems very steep. That does seem very, very steep. Can I get this to connect like that? It's 99,000, but that is so much better. The only problem I have with that is building a train station in here. I'm going to be carving away so much terrain, and I don't love the idea of doing that. I really, really don't love the idea of doing that. But I also don't want to have to build the train station so far away from this guy that I need trucks to bring the stuff to the train station. So I might have overcomplicated things here a little bit, but we'll go ahead and build this, and that'll be totally fine. We will reconnect this guy just because I probably should, and that's totally okay as well. Oh man, I might regret that. I might live to regret that decision, but we should, well, I don't know if we are going to be okay, because now's the time I need to build the train station. So, not too sure about this one. Let's get this brush a little bit smaller, and we need to just flatten this out. I also need the brush to be stronger and again, slightly bigger to flatten as much of this out as, that's the smooth tool. I need this one. This is what I need to be doing. And that is so much money to do that. That is so much money. Oh no, it is ridiculous money to flatten that out. I'm also going to need a straighter section of road here, I think. But if we go in and look at train stations, we want the cargo terminus station. I want it there for $334,000. It's already carving away a ton of terrain, but that's where it needs to go. It's 160 meters long. It has one platform, one track. Oh man, that lowering that terrain might have been a really big mistake. At the very least, let me smooth this out so it looks a little bit better. Let me smooth out this part so it looks a little bit better. I know aesthetics don't matter too much in this game, but they matter to me. So there we go. That all looks at least a little bit better. So down in Limerick, we want to do something similar. We do want a terminus station right about here, and I would like to bring a little stretch of road just straight over this way. I would like to connect it to that intersection right about there. We'll bring this over a little bit further and just curve this around. Not quite like that. We can get better. Not quite like that. We can get better. That's what I'm looking for. That's going to be a much quicker way for vehicles to get into Limerick from our new little truck station, which only happens to need one platform for this space. I am going to put it on this side. I'll put the platform on the other side as well, so the intersection's a bit further away from everything. But that should be totally fine for our trucks coming out of Limerick and going back into Limerick. And this now gives me the challenge of having to build some train tracks from Belfast Sawmill down to Limerick for $1.5 million, at which point I'm going to have to borrow a ton of money to actually get a train to run on this whole thing. I might have bitten off more than I can chew with this, but I'm hoping I can bring this track straight sort of through here. I'd like to bring it along this side of the quarry, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, Yeah, there's like a big hill here that we'd have to go around otherwise. So this would sort of let me skirt along the edge of the hill without having to like loop around and climb this hill. This is a lot more like level, basically. So it's going to be better for the train. So I think this is actually where I'd like to get started with my tracks. So what we'll do is basically just carve straight through here, a little something like this. Now that is probably going to carve a little bit of the terrain away. It absolutely is. That's okay. It is also still going uphill, but it should be just generally a lot more level than anything else we'd be looking at. So I'll approve of that construction, turn on my contour lines, and figure out how this is all going to connect together. This is going to be the real challenge up here, because this is probably going to have to be some kind of tunnel going underneath that road, which is $300,000, which is ridiculous. If I was to just drag this out and connect it to there, what does that do? 632,000. It is a tunnel. It is a very long tunnel, actually, which I don't necessarily love. It is a tunnel that starts instantly. Of course it is. But that is probably, I mean, it says 75 the entire way. That is probably super, super level. And so that's going to let my trains go as fast as they can go pretty much instantly. So you know what? 632,000. Let's build it. We still have $1 million left, which really is not that much money when it comes to building train lines, but I'll allow it is what I'll do. Now it looks like I can continue pretty much straight through that entire forest without too much issue. It doesn't look like we're going uphill all that much. So we'll just go for a nice straight line through here. Am I messing with the terrain at all? No, I mean, it's going downhill, admittedly. So coming back, it might slow down a little bit, but I think for the most part, we're okay. And then we kind of need to turn and start heading for Limerick that way. So how do I want to do that? Do I want to sort of cut through here, cut through the middle of this town and just not really care about how the town builds in the future? I don't know that I do want to do that. I'm also keenly aware of the fact that I'm going to have to deal with this little range of hills right here, which is going to be tricky in and of itself. Really hadn't thought too much about this. I think what we do is we turn and we sort of try and go that way, which is going to slow us down on that curve. But to be fair, I am not going to have any trains that can get anything close to 62 miles per hour anytime soon. So this is more of a future me problem if I do turn like this, and I'm going to, because I think it's probably for the best. So we can just cut straight through here as well. $100,000 is a lot of money. I can lower that down for 115. Oh, we just got a new train. Okay. 107 is going to be about as low as I can go with this. So I guess we will approve it. And let's see. How am I getting over there? You know what? Let's do the Limerick section of this line first, because I had a feeling it was going to do that. I had a feeling it was going to be a bridge, and it looks kind of cool. So you know what? 222,000? Sure. Let's let's commit to spending that much money. 41 around there is not great. Let me see if I can just get a little bit faster around that curve. It looks like I can totally get 75 around there, which is beautiful. I would love to avoid a situation. Oh, I can do a tunnel. Okay. I'm not against doing a tunnel there. It's 197 to do a tunnel right there. The tracks are coming down this way. So where is that coming out? It's coming over there. So that'll line up, I think. I might want to go slightly more left with this, but I think that'll be fine. That's also still a lot of money, but it should be fine. We can kind of cut through here as well. Is that going to turn into a tunnel? No, it isn't. Okay. Is that going uphill? No, it's carving out the hill. Okay. That's fine. Let's curve this way ever so slightly. I don't love how much terrain I'm getting rid of right there, but again, the train kind of needs to do that, and it kind of needs to go as fast as possible. So let's go slightly more left. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I'm running out of money. I'm really running out of money. Okay. Let me take another loan. I need another million at least. Probably a lot more than another million to make this actually work. But man, I don't want to max out my loans. That's the last thing I want to do. Because if I do, the problem is we're going to have to pay just a ridiculous amount of money, right? It's 100,000 for the loan interest. Now, do I want to just go over this hill? I think I'm gonna have to, because otherwise I'm paying 300,000 to get around there, which I'd really rather avoid doing. We'll go straight through there as well. And I think now we'll bring this guy down. Can I go through that hill? No. I was really hoping I could, but unfortunately that's not going to be an option. So we're not paying that much money. We will curve a little bit to the right, and then we will curve a little bit to the left. And that's going to let me avoid most of that hill, which is perfect. We can continue in a nice straight line across that road. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to lower it just a little bit, which apparently I can't do. I'd really rather not do that with the road. That looks awful. But again, I don't think aesthetics are something that really matter too much in this game. So, you know what? We're just going to do it. That's fine. 79,000. Oh, wait, no, our connection's over there. We need to not do that. We need to bring you straight through here for 39,000. And then these guys just get connected together like that. And that's a nice little fast section of track. It is admittedly a lot more expensive than I would like. You know what? Let me do this. Let me get rid of that road for a second, and then let me put the tracks in there, because that should be, it's still raised up, but I can lower it, which is 85,000. And then I can just put that road back in there. So just like that. And that looks so much better. Yeah, that looks so much better. Okay. So that's our train track. That is everything we need for that train track to exist, except for the train itself and the rail, the train depot. So, you know, not everything we need, but we're getting there. Now, when it comes to the train depot, I'm going to place it here. It's just kind of the middle of nowhere next to a coal quarry, or is it coal mine? Coal mine. And we'll just connect the tracks in one direction, sort of going that way. And that'll at least give us a connection for the trains to get out there, which is completely fine by me. The next thing we need to do then is set up a train line. So from Belfast going all the way down to Limerick, we'll call it road cargo. We will call it, it's not road cargo, it's train cargo. We'll call it Belfast, I guess. And it's going to be, man, what is it going to be? So it's planks slash bricks. Let's just do planks for now. Let's not overcomplicate it. Planks to tools to city, I guess is what we'll call it. So it's planks are getting turned into tools, brought back to Belfast and taken to the city. We'll just do the planks for now. I think with how little money we have and how much we have in loan debt, I don't want to overcomplicate this. Now, what we can do is set up this guy. We're going to need a new truck stop in Limerick, which is going to be right here. And then this guy is going to have that added as a station. That'll be road cargo. That is Limerick. And it'll be tools to city. And that'll be totally fine. So that is our beautiful little green line right there. That is now every line that we need. We just need vehicles. And that's going to be the tricky part, man, because we need the train and I know it's expensive. And we also have to keep in mind that when it comes to trains, if we look at the locomotives, we can get this guy, which is almost 100,000 more than the first one. So instantly 329,000. For the wagons, we need a flat car with side stakes to move both planks and bricks, which is fine. So this one car is going to be fine for both of those. But if I put, say, 1, 2, 3 of these guys in here, I now need, I mean, admittedly, some of the planks are getting turned into tools for Limerick, but ideally we have 3 of these to bring tools back, right? We can get away, I think, with 2 for now. But this is, I mean, 912,000 for such a tiny little train is a problem. I'm going to have to do it. And I'm going to paint a nice dark red because I think it's going to look cool and it's going to live on that line, which is fine. But what I'm going to do is say that this train, this line specifically in Belfast, you are going to wait for a full load of anything and you have an infinite maximum stop time. So when that train gets to Belfast, it is not going to leave until it has a full load of planks. And it's not going to have a full load of planks until I get some vehicles bringing logs down here. So I'm going to borrow up to the max for the 10 million. That gives me 1.6 million to play with. Let's not waste time here. Let me get another road depot. Let me build it up here because that's going to be so much faster than sending vehicles from Oma. Let me build, I mean, it doesn't matter how quick the vehicles are for Limerick, so I just kind of need that one road depot. So what we'll do is get some cargo wagons. I want 10 of these guys. And I want those, what colors? It's a Belfast line, I think. So you guys are going logs to planks, right? So this thing should start producing logs pretty much instantly, and it absolutely is, which is perfect. That's exactly what we need. This line has a rate of 42, which is going to be a production of 21 planks. That's not enough as far as I'm concerned. So instantly duplicate those vehicles, give me a rate of 84, 85. That's going to mean that we're making a ton of money from plank production. We are going to need, give me one vehicle just for now. Let's go ahead and paint it a nice bright red and put that on the, let's see, we don't even have a line for it right now. So I want to build another, I want to build another truck stop. I want to build it down here, and we're going to create another new line that goes from this guy, and it goes into there. And that is road cargo. That is Belfast with a capital B, please. Belfast, and that is tools to city. So we'll get that painted red. We'll make sure at Belfast West, this guy is loading up on nothing but tools, and we'll get one vehicle on that line is what we're going to do. So you are going tools to city, and that's just going to activate that line. That's going to tell the game that there is sort of an end goal for the tools when they get made. So that's going to be perfect. We'll do the same thing with Limerick. So we'll go down here and we'll say, give me a new vehicle. Let's get it painted that beautiful green color. And that is Limerick tools to city. So again, that's going to tell the game, hey, when planks come down here, turn them into tools, give some of them to this guy, give some of them to the station. That'll load some of them into that wagon. It'll load some of them into that train. And I think what I'm going to do with the train as well is when it gets to Limerick, let's say minimum stop time of 60 seconds, just so it takes the time to load up, because this factory is not going to be super efficient right now. Also, if I am not mistaken, yeah, this guy's already loading up, which is beautiful. So it should, I think, with one more plank on board, it will set off pretty quick, and there it goes. So the train's away. We're going to continue to see planks get loaded into here, which is beautiful, beautiful news. And I think that's everything that we need in terms of vehicles, right? We have the train, we have the logs and planks production, we have the tools going to Belfast, the tools going to Limerick. The only thing we don't have is bricks getting loaded into this station, which is the ultimate goal of this whole thing. But that's okay. I'm not super worried about that. We will get them in here eventually. Right now, what I need is for the Oma stone line to keep making money. I need the Limerick tools and Belfast tools lines won't make money. The logs line is already making money, which is great. So that's fantastic. The Castle Bar loop is surprisingly making money as well. Wasn't expecting that, but that's all good. This guy, how are we looking? Have we got a surplus on any of these lines? We don't. I just bit my tongue. That really hurt. Ow. We don't. That really did hurt. We don't have a surplus, but we're not shipping as much as we could to Londonderry. So let me just spend some of this loan money on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vehicles, duplicate, and we'll see how that goes. We'll hope for the best on that one. These guys are still making deliveries, which is beautiful news. I'm actually surprised that they have a balance so high, considering just, well, none of them have delivered for a little bit. So that's great to see. Hopefully the money that we're making from everything else from all of these wagons is enough to offset the money we're going to be losing on this train for now, because this train needs to be a lot bigger. We need to be moving way more planks than we're moving right now, especially given the fact that if we look up here, we already have 27 in here. That train can move 12. So we could be doing better, but this is a start, right? This is our first little train. This is the beginning of a transport empire. We just needed to make sure that we can subsidize the costs of this train with everything else. Also, the Oma Stone line is now not making money, so that's okay. I am curious though, how much do we get for 12 planks coming down here? We get $235,000, which is beautiful. We have some tools getting loaded in here, and we have none getting loaded onto the train right now, which is very surprising. Okay. That was a little bit unexpected. And now they're in the station. Okay. Well, it'll figure it out, is what it'll do. It'll figure it out. I think what I am going to do, though, given that I have got a little bit of money, is buy more flat cars. I'm going to put 3 more on there. Oh, do I do more than that? 1, 2, 3. No, I don't think I do more than that. I think I'll do 4. That'll be fine. I don't want to spend all of my money because I'm not convinced that that's a good idea. I do think I could put another box car on here. So we're spending 582,000. That's going to be 4 and 4 is 8. That's 12, 24, 28 planks now. And if we split that, that'll be what, 4? I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We can get some bricks on here as well. I think I'll do 1 more flat car just because I really do think this is the right decision. I really do. We'll paint it all a nice dark red. It is a pretty good looking train. It is hopefully going to get full of planks when it goes up there and make a ton of money when it comes back down to Limerick. And there we go. We have the train arriving back in Belfast. We have the train getting absolutely full of planks. We're carrying 32 of those down to Limerick. Keep in mind, we made what, about 220,000 for 12 of them? Oh yeah, I'm very excited about those 32 planks going down there, because those 32 planks are going to be worth a grand total of $627,000, which is beautiful news. We also have some tools loaded onto the train, which you'll love to see. Not 100% sure where the rest of them are going, but the looks of it right there, just not being loaded onto the train, and I'm not 100% sure why, but that's fine. That's still some tools that can now go to Belfast. That puts the train as profitable, although I doubt just how profitable it actually realistically is, given the fact that it now runs back with a minimal cargo. But once it starts running back and forth with cargo in each direction, we should be totally fine. And obviously, the goal with this whole thing is going to be to eventually double up the tracks and have multiple trains running at a time. I just kind of don't have the money to do that right now. All right, so before we go ahead and wrap things up for today, I want to spend a little bit of money on some more wagons, because eventually we are going to be bringing some of these bricks down to that train and sending them to Limerick. So first things first, we're going to configure this with another platform, because eventually we are going to need that. And second things second, I want to come down here and buy myself another bunch of horse-drawn carriages. In fact, I think what I can do is just go in here, manage vehicles. I'm going to duplicate 5 of them and 5 again, and that gives us 50 vehicles in that line, a rate of 92, and they are going to be coming out of this little road depot, which I've built nearby, because it's so much closer and it's so much better than sending them here from Oma. So this is hopefully going to result in a little bit more money from that line. Obviously, it's a little bit inconsistent in how much money it makes, but the goal that I have is that eventually it's just constantly, you know, at the same time it's selling, it is picking up at the other end of things, and we'll just see how that ends up going. Now, we do have the train pulling in here with 4 tools on board. I'm curious to see what they happen to be worth. $76,000. Honestly, not bad. That's not bad, all things considered. I don't mind that too much. There's like 14 or so tools, I think, sitting down in Limerick there's 16 tools waiting to go. So the train will be full going back, which is great. So that's going to be over 210,000 once it comes back with a full load of tools. So it should start making money in each direction, which is what we are looking for. And that's what I would like to see happening with this whole thing. Now, looking up here, We are doing pretty well on the number of bricks sitting in here. No overloads at the moment. Consumers are relatively happy, which we love to see. Suppliers are not even shipping 100% of what they could be, which is all right. You guys want 64 bricks. We can do that eventually. You guys want 73 bricks. We can do that eventually. And Limerick wants 39. So that's why I want this one line to be doing a lot of heavy lifting, because if we start piggybacking off of the Belfast bricks line, we need to factor in both the Belfast and Limerick demand for bricks to that one line. If I don't do that, which is kind of what I'm setting this up to do, then we're just going to have another line going in this direction, except going to Belfast West instead of into Belfast proper. I'm not 100% sure what my plan is with that just yet. And we have to keep in mind that to do that and to do it efficiently, we would need a bigger train. We would need more flat cars with side stakes, and eventually, obviously, another train, because Limerick's demand for bricks is only going to grow. But all things considered, I am relatively happy with where we've gotten to. There's another 627,000 coming in there with 12 bricks loaded onto the trains. The train should head out of here within 30 seconds and all should be fantastic. I might actually want to get rid of that weight now that we have a bit of a surplus of tools down here. But again, like I said, that should be about $210,000 once it gets back to Belfast. And so I suppose with all of that said and done, and with us seemingly making a decent little bit of money, which is a nice change, we can probably go ahead and leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. This has been an absolute pleasure, as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.